everybody, how's it going? I think it's time to talk about gimbals again. For a while there, I got kind of sick of gimbals. I tried a lot of different gimbals. I've tried the Nebula, the Moza Air, the Zhiyun Crane 2, Movies. I've tried a lot of different gimbals, and I just kind of got sick of them. I didn't really like any of them that much. But today we're going to talk about this guy, the Ronin S. I did a little bit of a comparison between this guy and the Crane 2, but I didn't know that much about this gimbal yet, and I hadn't used it that much, so I couldn't make a full review yet, but now I've been using it for a couple months. And quick little backstory here, like I said, I've tried a whole bunch of different gimbals, and I've never found a gimbal that I really enjoyed using. So I was pretty skeptical of this guy because I feel like all the gimbals are pretty much the same, to be honest. They're very similar. There's small differences, but they're really the same, and they kind of all have the same issues. So I was expecting this guy to have the same issues as all the rest of the gimbals. But after really using it, real world experience, spoiler alert, I have to say this is my favorite gimbal by far. But the real question still is, will it replace my good old handy, you can always trust on it, GlideCam? Is this guy that fun to use that I would actually start bringing this around everywhere with me and drop the GlideCam finally? Okay, so my first experience with the DJI Ronin S was comparing it with the Crane 2 and just going back and forth between the two gimbals. We would do one test and then use the other gimbal and be going back and forth. You could right away see that there was a difference between these two gimbals, and I would say between the Ronin S and all the other gimbals. There's definitely a difference. We'll get into some of the differences, but you could honestly tell right away, which I was really surprised by because I was expecting it to be very similar to the rest of the competition. So let's just get straight into it and talk about the pros. So first off is the payload. You can put a lot of weight on this. I think it's 3.6 kilograms worth of weight. So you can fit a lot of different cameras onto this gimbal. I've even seen a Canon C300 Mark II on this guy, which is insane because this is a big camera, and to fit it on here and to get it balanced it's pretty impressive. So it's super versatile in what cameras you can put on this guy. You can put Reds on there. I've had a lot of emails from other DPs who are actually going with this instead of the traditional Movies and all those guys. They're just opting to use this with something like a small Red. And not only the payload, but actually the whole cradle space up here allows for a lot of different cameras to be mounted on here. A lot of times you kind of run out of space and you can't actually balance the camera because the cradle is just too small. So I really like that about the Ronin S. I had no problems getting the 1DX2 on there. Right now I have the EOS R. But yeah, like I said, C300, C200, Reds. I've seen a lot of different cameras on here, and it's just a mixture of, you can put a lot of weight on here and then the big cradle. So that's a big bonus. Then next, and probably the most important, is that it's super stable, like actually really stable. Again, when I was comparing it to the Crane 2, I found this guy to be a lot more stable than the Crane 2. And there was none of those little jitters or like those micro jitters that are really just ugly, especially when you're doing something like this flashlight mode. It's really prone to shake or undersling. Yeah, this guy did really well. I wasn't noticing any of that micro jitter. And then probably one of my biggest gripes with pretty much all of the other competition is that the horizon goes off really quickly. So you start filming, it's looking great, and then all of a sudden everything's tilted and all your footage is going to be crooked, and there's no quick, easy way of fixing that on most of the gimbals. And to be honest, I was expecting the exact same thing to happen on the Ronin S, but I've never had that happen yet, and I've used this quite a bit on a bunch of different trips. It's never gone way off the horizon, all crooked. So that is like, it sounds kind of stupid and like it should be a given, but I'm telling you, this is the first gimbal that's actually worked like it's supposed to and not gone all wonky with the horizon. And it's honestly the worst thing when you're out there and trying to film and all of a sudden everything's crooked and you're like, well, I guess I'm just gonna have to zoom in and rotate it in post. Like, that actually really sucks. So yeah, that's something that this Ronin S has above every other gimbal pretty much that I've tried to date. The app is really great. It's simple for the most part. I didn't have any issues with it. I love that you can auto tune it in there. Yep, no complaints there. Charging, you don't need any extra chargers. You just plug it in. It's really easy to charge, and I found that it lasts for a really long time. Well, pretty much all the gimbals last for a really long time, but this guy, you don't need to take out the batteries and charge it on some separate chargers like pretty much I think all of the other gimbals have that. I just like that. The less stuff I can bring on a shoot, especially when I'm traveling, the better. So yeah, I don't want to bring around other chargers. But possibly the single reason why I enjoy using the Ronin S more than any other gimbal is actually these triggers and how they've programmed them for you to use while you're filming. So for example, you know, you're filming in this normal mode, you want to go to flashlight mode, just hold down the trigger, boom, you're ready to go. If you're a little bit off, you just double tap and it just resets it completely. Or let's say you want to go to underslung, so you just hold down the button, boom, ready to go. It's really quick and easy just to change the different modes. I didn't mean to do that selfie mode. It's really easy to use the trigger to move the gimbal around and get those shots that you need to get. You don't need to go into the app and change anything. You literally just press down the button, boom, you're in that position, you're there. Like, it's really quick, and I think that's probably one of the best things about this gimbal. And it's all those little things about gimbals, because they're a little bit cumbersome to use. They're a little bit tricky, a little bit annoying. So when things like this are done, where it just makes it really quick and easy, yeah, I just really appreciate that. And then not only this trigger, but then also, let's say, you know, you're getting your smooth movements, but then something really fast happens and you need to follow it. Well, you just press down the M button here and boom, you're in this sport mode, I think they call it, where you can do really quick movements. This again is one of those things where it sounds really simple and like, yeah, okay, that's great, but it actually changes the way you use the gimbal. And that's one of the things that I always hated about gimbals, is that they don't really feel super kinetic. When you're moving it, kind of feels like a computer is controlling your camera and not you. Whereas the Glide Cam, it moves exactly where you move it. Now when you press this M, you have that kind of same feel where you move it and the camera moves instantly. There's no like kind of like lag or anything. And then when you want that smooth shot, so you're getting this fast shot, and then you want that slow smooth shot, you just let go, and then there you go. Now you got your slow mode again, nice and smooth. Yeah, I just think it's really smart what they did with this whole sport mode. I think that's what they're calling it. Now, no gimbal or product is perfect. There's always going to be issues. So what are the downsides of the Ronin S? First off, I would say it's still a pain to balance. All the gimbals are so annoying to balance. There's so many different things, and you know, you move it a little bit, it goes too far, and you're just like going back and forth forever. I can't wait till they just have like kind of like motors that self-balance, or even little dials to just dial it in instead of like going, oh, too far, like, it's really annoying. They have the little markings, but still it takes a while to kind of get used to the whole balancing thing. And I think that is going to be one of the big reasons why a lot of just like regular people who aren't super into filmmaking won't be using gimbals, is because they're hard to balance. Another thing is the focus wheel. I'm not really sold on these focus wheels. Like, I'm never gonna be moving and focusing, like holding the gimbal with one hand and then focusing at the same time. It's not gonna happen. It might be, you know, handy to focus up before instead of touching the lens and then doing your shot, but I don't know. I think the focus wheel is kind of a gimmicky, stupid thing that I'm never gonna use, but that's across the board. I think pretty much all the gimbals now do a little focus wheel, and yeah, I just can't see myself using it. And then the last big downside of the Ronin S is the weight. It is heavier than pretty much all of the same sized gimbals, and that, you know, that's a byproduct of having the bigger cradle, and you can put more weight on there and all that stuff. So it is heavy. It is not a light gimbal, even though it is pretty small and pretty manageable. It starts weighing down your arm pretty quickly. Other than that, it's honestly the first gimbal that I've used on multiple shoots, and I've actually enjoyed it every single time. All of the other gimbals I've used and I'd be like, this is just not working the way I want it to. But the DJI Ronin S has worked exactly like I wanted to every single time. You know, there's still the downsides, the weight and all that stuff, but using it has actually been enjoyable, whereas all other gimbals, I haven't really enjoyed using them, to be honest. And that's the reason why I've always kind of gone back to the GlideCam. So the question is, am I finally switching away from the GlideCam? Am I gonna put it on the shelf and, you know, have it be a part of Travel Feels Matty Apoya history? I think it's time. I think I'm actually gonna start bringing the Ronin S with me instead of the GlideCam. It works really well. I love using it. There's not one big gripe for me that kind of deters me from using this. So as long as it lasts and it doesn't die on me, I'm gonna keep using this guy. Gimbals are just such a sweet tool to get that smooth footage. It's a totally different look from the GlideCam, and I really like the look of the gimbals. So yeah, I'm gonna start using the DJI Ronin S. But just because it's good for me doesn't mean it's necessarily good for you. So I always recommend that you test them out, find the tool that works for you, because there is no one tool that works for everybody. But looking at the prices of the gimbals and what they can do, I think the Ronin S is probably your best bet right now. So I'd probably just test out that first. All right, that's it for this review. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. And if you're not already in the giveaway for the YouTube starter kit, links down below, make sure to enter. I think there's probably like a week left on that. So yeah, get on that. All right, it's time for me to wrap this up, start editing this video, and I guess I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.